It wasn't until my third fight in the UFC where I committed 100% to just fighting, because I was in a plumbers union all while I was fighting on the local scene, and then I got in the UFC, and I just the pace wasn't enough to kind of fully commit. So I still had to have a job. So I used to work all day and then train at nighttime. So in my third fight in the UFC is when I went 100% full time in.
Can you take us back to when you got the call that you were going to make your first octagon appearance? What did you feel like? What was that like?
Yeah, I was in my kitchen. I just got done from the gym. I'm eating late dinner at like 9:30 like I used to, having to get up at 6 a.m. the next day for plumbing. And I got a call from my then manager at the time. He said, "Hey, Joe Silva, there's been a cancellation in the bout, and they want to see if you want to fill in." I said, "Yeah, 100%." And
you must have been like psyched, happy, excited.
I called everybody I knew. And I was amped up. I had recently tried out for the Ultimate Fighter show a month before, and did not get picked. So I was kind of bumming about that. So to finally get the call from Joe Silva, I was ecstatic.
Just out of your personal flavor, for you, when you were in the octagon in the UFC, did you prefer to be standing up and banging and try to knock somebody out to finish, or did you want to go to what you're comfortable in, what you're training with, the wrestling? Like, what was your personal flavor, or did it change depending on your opponent?
Yeah, my whole thing was, I remember you could put, back in the day, I don't know if it is now, when you first get, you could put your style, right? What kind of style you from. And I was mostly a wrestler when I was only 5-0 when I got in the UFC. So I was mostly a wrestler, mostly taking people down. But I didn't put wrestler, I put freestyle, because that was my thing. I never wanted to be a one-trick pony, I guess. And the way the sport was going, you were seeing that you couldn't be that anymore. You had to evolve and kind of get good at everything. So my whole idea was, if I was going to stand up with a striker, I couldn't take him down. I got to be able to handle that, and vice versa on the ground. If, say I can't strike with him, or I have to grapple with this guy, and he's the best in the world. I got to find a way to compete with him. So I always wanted to be 100% well-rounded, and depending on the opponent we face, that's so you can kind of pick the path of least resistance. Sometimes maybe you pick the thing he's not the best at that we could exploit, or sometimes you got to go head to head and see who has the best, whatever it may be.
But what about your personal flavor? When you finish somebody, is it more satisfying or gratifying to knock somebody out, or is it to submit them or put them to sleep? Just out of personal preference.
Yeah, I don't know. I think knocking someone out is just a little special. I don't know. It's just more violent. And in that moment, it's it's a
statement.
Yeah, it's a statement. Yeah, and especially this guy's trying to knock you out, and you get to knock him out. And a finish is great, right? A finish, period, is great, but the knockout feels pretty good.
What was your most difficult fight?
Aldo is always tough to fight. Max Holloway, very tough to fight. BJ, the first fight with him, I mean, just to get ready for him was mentally a mountain. He had that aura about him. He was killing everybody, running through everybody. Nobody expected me to win. Was
the second fight easier or harder against BJ? Mentally and physically in the cage?
I think it was easier at that point. In the first fight, I believed I could beat him. I believed it. In the second fight, I knew, because I just did. So that confidence, like I went out first round, I took him down right away, kept him down. So yeah, I think it was. I mean, yeah, I opened up a lot more in the second fight than I did the first fight.
What is your proudest or coolest submission that you remember doing in the UFC?
When Matt Veach rocked him with a punch and was able to get a nice, rear naked. Actually, he went to defend the hand, and I went, forearm in the back, and just kind of got that choke there. So that was a nice one.
What would you say was your career-wise, your highlights personally?
Well, I think winning the title the first time is definitely always sticks out. I competed, like I said, at a high level since I was in 13. At least in my mind, I wanted to be the best since I was 13, and I came very close throughout my wrestling career, and I never got to the very #1 spot, never really, I set out high goals and I never really accomplished them. Came close in wrestling, but never accomplished them. So to finally accomplish that goal of being a world champion, that'll stick out forever. And then probably Gray Maynard 3, just the way it ended, our rivalry. It was just, everything was perfect that weekend.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's transition to something fun. Do you like video games?
I mean, I played a little. I didn't play much as a kid. I'll be honest. I didn't play much as a kid.
All right, we're hardcore gamers in my family. The reason why I'm going to ask you is this: what was it like to be featured in the UFC video game?
No, that's very cool. You know, I probably played Tekken and stuff, the fight games, if anything, more than anything. But my kids are into it, so for them to play, you know, what my characters or beat my character up, you know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
Did they ever tell you when you piss them off? Because I drive my son crazy. Yeah. Does he ever go to the game and just like beat Frankie?
I'm sure he does, or gets me knocked out. Yeah.
Have you played it yourself?
I probably have a little bit. Yeah, I'm not really good on the video games. That's probably why I didn't like video games as much, because I'm very competitive. So if I couldn't win, I'm like, nah. Let's.
Some people say, like, you know, from the UFC and professional like coaches in the UFC, that once you become a champion, you automatically get like 20% better, something like that. Can you explain? Is that true? Is that a myth?
No, I think it's. I mean, it's a theory. You know what I mean? It's not, but it's a mental thing. Yeah. Confidence is a stain that can't be wiped off, right? You know, once you're confident and once you feel yourself, it matters. I think half these guys in the UFC, probably including myself, had a false sense of belief of themselves, right? They have this like almost false confidence, because I don't know if I deserve to think that how I thought, but it got me what I needed to get done.
Was your friends and your family, because I've read a lot about that, you have great support, you're like fan favorite for so many people. What was your friends and family like? Because I told you, I used to work in Tom's River. You know what I mean? When I was selling cars, I would be like, it's Frankie from Tom's River. Like, you had a lot of people, like, it's like when you made it to UFC, it's like they made it, right? Like, Sure. Can you talk about that for a minute? What was that like for you, having all the love from your town, from your teammates, and everything like that?
Yeah, no, it's awesome, because I'm always repping where I'm from, and you know, shit, half of Tom's River might have been in Vegas that night. You know, a lot of my friends came out, and it's cool, because I mean, you know, the people that were with me in my last fight are pretty much people that were with me at my first fight. So I have a close-knit group, a lot of hometown people. So yeah, it's always cool to, you know, get the support.
Like, let's talk about the family. This has got to be emotional for the spouse and the kids. Whether you win or not, getting hit, you know, that's someone that they love, they care about. What's that like to the family and the people that love you when you're in the ring? Whether you win or not, when you're getting hit or knocked down and stuff like that, that's got to be emotionally taxing for them, right?
Absolutely. You know, my wife, like I said, my mother and father pretty much been every single fight. So for them, that's probably the hardest on them. My wife, actually, she's very good at faking a funk. You know, the day of the fight, she seems cool as hell. She doesn't show me her nervousness. Afterwards, it's like a dump, you know what I mean? She's fucking had it, she's over, you know, and it's tough for her to keep that for me, because my parents, you could see the nervousness on them. So I don't even like being around them on fight day, you know? My wife, she hides it very well. So yeah, it's a lot for them. You know, I coach my kid now, so probably one of the best lessons I could teach my kid is getting knocked down in front of everybody and still walking out with my fucking head high.